an intro video.
Mm.
I'm glad that we started early because usually I'm 5 minutes late. Oh my goodness! So I'm excited that we have a wonderful guest today. Welcome to What in the World Do You Do? Is this the show where you uncover the stories behind extraordinary leaders who are shaping lives and communities? Today we have a special guest, Dr. Deidre. I'm Angelica Corral, your award-winning host, and today's guest is someone whose journey is impactful as it is inspiring. I met Dr. Deidre Jones through Head Start, and I saw her passion and commitment to equity and innovation for early childhood education was remarkable. She's nationally recognized educator and the former vice president of early childhood development at Neighborhood Health Association. And I am excited to hear her comments today, her ideas, and her learning. So we're gonna start now. This conversation is about purpose, leadership, and the power of persistence. You're definitely going to leave here inspired. So, so happy that you're here, Dr. Jones. Oh, I
Thank
see Tanita Clark is here. She says, "Hello, ladies. I'm happy to be here." Hi, Tanita. Good to see
Hey,
you.
Tanita.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Trendy. Awesome. Trendy girl is here as well. Awesome. Glad that you guys were able to make it. So we're going to start off with the question of what inspired you to dedicate your life to early childhood education?
So I was inspired at an early age. I was inspired by my first grade teacher,
Mm-hmm,
Miss Linda Hargan.
mm-hmm,
She later went on to be married and her last name changed to Jackson. But she was the one who inspired me to go into education. And it started, I think I was about in the second grade.
mm-hmm.
I had a classmate that I didn't get along with. Today we would call her a bully. Um, but she liked to pick on me.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, Miss Hargan, I don't know, she just pulled us to the side. I don't know what had happened, what she had seen, but she pulled us to the side and she spoke to us. And for
Uh-huh.
some reason, that had an impact on me. And I think in that moment is when I decided I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted, because of the fact that I wasn't even in her class anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
yet she still took the time to pour into me, to see that a situation was going on and to address it. And so
Mm.
that had an impact on me. And I decided at that moment I wanted to be a teacher, so much so that by the sixth grade, I was spending my lunch recess time in one of the second grade teachers' classroom volunteering. So I was grading papers or helping to pass out papers, just whatever. One time it got to the point I lost track of time and didn't know my class had gone back inside, and a classmate had to come and get me because everybody got into the classroom and realized I wasn't in my seat. But somebody knew I was in the second grade class volunteering.
Wow. So
And
you were taking charge. You were leading it already in second grade.
right. And so when my first grade teacher passed, when I was
Mm-hmm.
in the ninth grade,
Mm-hmm.
I made a decision then that I was going to let her light shine through me. So I already knew I was going to be a teacher, but her passing motivated me to be the type of teacher that she was to me, or in that moment where she pulled me and my classmate to the side to talk to us. So that's what motivated me to become a teacher. Now, I didn't know what type of teacher or what grade level I was going to teach. I just knew I wanted to be a teacher. How I landed on early childhood was in college. When
Mm-hmm.
it was time for me to pick my major, I could do elementary ed, which had a major and a minor,
Mm-hmm.
or early childhood. And I was looking at elementary ed and I was like, well, I don't know what I want to major or minor in. Like there wasn't a particular subject that interests me. So I was kind of struggling. And it was a classmate that said, well, just pick early childhood. You don't have to do a major or a minor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. And so that's how I ended up majoring in early childhood education. But I've loved it ever since. It's something about setting that foundation and giving our youngest learners a solid foundation to
Mm-hmm.
start their academic career or academic growth
Mm-hmm.
that motivates me, that inspires me. And that's why I do the work that I do.
So that's wonderful. So it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like you are a person that wanted justice for other children because you had dealt with a bully.
Yeah.
And when you had somebody there to make things right, you felt you wanted that for every child. And that is such a big problem in schools nowadays, the bullying, and it's wonderful that you had that passion to help other children.
Yeah, even I mean, because when I look at bullying now in the schools, and I look at what children are doing, like
Mhm.
the victims, what they're doing, how we have some that are taking their lives, it baffles me because that never crossed my mind when I was
Mhm.
getting picked on by this
Mhm.
one particular classmate. I just wanted to be her friend. Like that was
Mhm.
my only goal. I was like, how do I get her to be my friend?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so when I see what children are doing now who are being picked on,
Yeah.
my heart bleeds for them because I'm like, well, how did it get to this level? Because like I
Yeah.
said, I those thoughts never crossed my mind. I was just thinking about again, how do I be your friend? So how do we go from that to this other extreme? And I do have, even to this day, I do have a soft spot for those who are picked on, those who are bullied.
Mhm.
And I hate bullies, those movies like Mean Girls or
Mhm.
always
Mhm.
had, like, I just this like those get under my skin because
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't like bullies or mean girls. But
Yeah.
I definitely do sympathize for those who have to endure the bullying.
Absolutely. Me too, because I was a bully child as well. But I didn't have a teacher to really help me like you did. So you had a superhero teacher, girl.
Now she still continued to pick on me all the way to the sixth grade. It didn't stop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she still continued. So I
Oh my
endured like
goodness.
4 years of it.
You just endured. You endured it and
Yeah.
persisted. Wow. We got a few people that are saying hello in the audience. We have
Well,
Tom
hello to
Cullen,
everyone.
Joshua Only. He's in. We got people from Canada. We have our friend Joshua from Colorado. Lisa's all the way in Trinidad. Hi, Lisa. She's saying good night, everyone. And Charito's all the way in the Philippines. How you doing, Charito? And let's see. A trendy girl. Oh, she says, what a true definition of reach one, teach one.
Mhm.
And Melissa Houston says, hello, everyone. Tamrat Rifrashewa says, hello, friends. And let's see, Charito's saying hello to everybody. Everybody's saying hello.
Hello to everyone. Good evening.
Yeah, it's nice that they came and supported today. And the wonderful thing about uh, these podcasts is you could play them, replay them over again. So that's if somebody has to leave for something else, say something comes up, they can always come back. So we understand. So Yeah, so I remember you uh, giving trainings at Head Start, and I also thought about what you mentioned about helping children have a great foundation. And I think when you start early, that's like the best place to start, right?
It is. It definitely it lays the foundation and the trajectory for later. And again, it's all about that solid foundation. My motto for when I was a classroom teacher, and even still, even though I'm not in the classroom, but I'm still working with those who work with young children. I'm working for young children.
Hmm.
It's always been based in scripture, and
Hmm.
it's my guiding light has always been Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. That has always been my reason
Hmm.
for why I do what I do, setting that strong, solid foundation for our youngest learners.
Oh, absolutely. I agree totally with that scripture.
Mhm.
So, was there a particular experience that that led you to start wanting to early childhood education, or was it that one experience?
I would say it was that experience,
Yeah.
from being inspired by my first grade teacher to her passing,
Hmm.
and then again, I just kind of fell into choosing early childhood. It was a kind
Hmm.
of like a fork in the road. Which do I do?
Hmm.
Elementary and choose a major and minor, or just go with early childhood where I don't have to choose one of those. So I chose that one. I chose early childhood, but fell in love with it. My first year teaching, I taught pre-K. So I've taught pre-K and kindergarten. I was a classroom
Hmm.
teacher for 6 years, 3 years taught pre-K, 3 years taught kindergarten. My first year teaching pre-K, I had two students leave my classroom reading.
Wow.
Just because of my instructional, methods. At that time, that first year, I didn't have a curriculum to
Hmm.
follow.
Hmm.
So I fell back on what I learned during my elementary years, during my pre-K and kindergarten and first grade. And we used a curriculum called Abeka. And
Hmm.
so I went to Abeka's website and I got a lot of resources from them, specifically as it related to reading. So I had, the alphabet letters, the consonant sounds, and all of that. And I just taught according to that,
Hmm.
and got some of the books that, so the children could read. And that's what I used as my curriculum. And by the end of the year, I had two students that were fluently reading. I would say probably at least at a kindergarten level. So they came out of my class reading, while the others, they could read some words and they knew their letter sounds. But I had two students that came out of my classroom reading.
Nice. So, can you share the books that you thought were really instrumental in helping the students? Because I know when I was a child, I loved rhymes. I loved the nursery rhymes, and I would read those a lot when I was a kid.
So you want to know the book specifically that I use, or just books in general?
Well, the ones that you think would be good,
So the ones
even the ones that you used.
So the ones that I use, especially for early readers, they're going to be the consonant, vowel, consonant words.
Hmm.
So those three-letter words,
Hmm.
back in the day, they used to call them the Dick Jane books, the Jane Dick books, or something like that.
Oh yeah,
See
see Dick run.
Jane run, yeah.
I remember those.
So that concept, so to speak, we call them, consonant, vowel, consonant, and so those, with the very simple words, you may
Hmm.
introduce sight words, so
Hmm.
those words that you can't sound out, you just have to know them on sight, and you just teach those words, or the words that have kind of like the blended consonants, like th, that sound
Hmm.
makes the sound. So
Uh-huh.
you introducing those. So those are kind of like the good books to start off with, as well as the nursery rhyme books, because you have that alliteration, you have those sounds that say the same, and it kind of gives it a sing songy flow to it.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
A lot of books with pictures. So for your birth to 3, your infants and toddlers, you're going to use picture books. You're not going to use books that have words.
Mm-hmm.
That way, you can make up stories just based off the pictures, or you can have them make up stories based on the pictures. But then as you get to the 3 and 4 year olds, early 5 year olds, you want to start introducing those simple words that also have pictures, because the pictures help, if they're not able to decipher a word, the
Mm-hmm.
picture helps with the context of it. And they can kind of figure out the word, or you can kind of tell them, okay, let's look at the picture. We've read this much of it. What do you think this word is based on the picture? So those are kind of the books that are good to start off with for young readers.
Excellent. Excellent. Wow. We have a few more comments. Joshua says, I'm driving, just listening. Love you all. And Cooper Gates says, good evening. And he says, an ideological foundation or simply academic. And then he says, sorry for the loss of that teacher. So that's very kind. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, Alan Gutman says, good evening, Dr. Jones. My motto is the early brain research is a no-brainer. I also taught pre-K and kindergarten, New York City and LA public schools. I love Sylvia Ashton Warner, word banks. Thanks
Yes.
for
Hi,
sharing.
Alan.
That was nice. It sounds like he's one of your friends.
Yes, I do. There are a few people on here I know. Trendy Girl. I know who that is. Alan, Tochi, Tanita. So yes, few people I see on here.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Thank you all for tuning in and supporting me.
Yeah. Raphael says, how does one teach or seek to educate equity? He says, each of us have individual personas. Characteristics are what gives us similarity, but as people, we do have different skill sets we're born with. And then Alan Gutman says, hop on pop. I like that one too.
Mm.
Oh, and Kenneth is here. He says, savor the flavor. He's our friend. He's a scientist from Texas, from Houston. And speaking of savor the flavor, he makes wonderful cheesecakes that I still haven't tasted, but I've heard a lot. Uh, let's see. And Alan Gutman says, hi, I'm waving. Uh, all right. So we're back to Dr. Jones.
And I can see the comments too. So
Oh, you could see them too.
yeah, I
Okay,
can see the
awesome.
comments.
So you could. I didn't know whether you could. So you could also, chime in. Chime in.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get back here. So you talked about some of the those two children that you had them do help out, and I think when children help, when they become very fluent as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you teach, you just get it's like you're practicing and you're practicing, you get better.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems that can you share a story where you directly impacted a child or a family or a classroom?
So the one that comes to mind for me of where I directly impacted a child, it's almost a full circle moment,
Mm-hmm.
starting with my first grade teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So I've told you that story and how I made the commitment when she passed that I was going to let her light shine through me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had a kindergarten student, and I can't remember which year it was that I was teaching, but I befriended her mother. And so I would, sometimes see them outside of school. Even when I left the school, I still stayed in touch. And I eventually lost touch with her mother, which subsequently meant I lost touch with that student.
Mm-hmm.
Well, during the pandemic, she found me. The student found me.
Wow.
By this time, she was about a junior in high school. And I got an email from her. And so I think what happened was she had probably searched for my name, came across my LinkedIn profile. And at the time on my banner, I had a business card that also showed my email address. So I'm thinking that's how she got my email address. And she sent me an email and she goes, "Hi, Miss Jones," because I was Miss Jones then. She doesn't know me as Dr. Jones. She's like, "Hi, Miss Jones.
Uh-huh.
This is Trinity. I don't know if you remember me." Da, da, da. And so I'm like, "Of course I remember you." So I gave her my number, and we have stayed in touch since. And she's about 21 now,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
finishing her junior or senior year in college. But she lets me know on a regular the impact that I had on her at the age at 5 years of age, which is when I was her
Wow.
teacher. This past Mother's Day,
Uh-huh.
she sent me a Happy Mother's Day text. Now, I don't have any children,
Uh-huh.
but she sent me a Happy Mother's Day text because she said that I have been a mother figure to her. She always calls me her school mom.
Aw.
And so when I got that text from her, I was just so touched. But it's for me, it's the fact that all these years from the time she was 5, we had a
Mhm.
short little break where we lost touch. But the fact that she looked for me and sought me out, and she had told me she was looking for me because at that time when she was in high school, she had started a club for girls at her
Mm,
school, and she wanted me to be a guest speaker. So that's why she was looking for me.
nice.
But that right there, I mean, it probably had been about a good 4 or 5 years since I
Mhm.
had last seen or spoken to her. So the fact that she looked for me because I was just that influential to her at the age of 5, and few years after that, where I was still in touch, it meant so much to me. And the
Mhm.
reason why I said it was a full circle moment for me is because I felt at that moment my first grade teacher was looking down and
Mhm.
saying, "Job well done." Because just
Mhm.
like she had an influence on me, I now had an influence on another child.
And that must have been, felt so good to see
It does.
that
And
you
I'm
made a
trying not to
difference.
tear up right now as I'm retelling the story. I wasn't expecting to get emotional about it. But yeah,
It's
it
awesome.
does. Because I don't do this work for recognition. I do this work just to do a good job. I mean, honestly, I'm
Mhm.
not,
Mhm.
trying to be. I know now, with the evolution of social media, we have people who are going viral. I don't do it to go viral. If
Mhm.
I can impact one child, one family, one staff member,
Mhm.
then I consider myself having done a good job.
That is awesome. Well, you could tell that you did really impact because now she's leading a girls group. So, we're talking about leadership, and leaders
Mhm.
help others become leaders, right?
Correct. Good leaders help others become leaders.
Yes. Good leaders help others become good leaders. Yeah. Well, that is awesome. So, that's a resilient story.
Hmm.
So, you've led through some major challenges during pandemic, right?
Yes. Yeah, that was a very challenging time.
I think it was I remember my son telling me, "I'm over this pandemic thing, mom." He was in his 20s. And we were just in the first year, right? But what guided you through it?
I would have to say my team really held me together. We held each other together, I would say.
Mhm. Mhm.
When the pandemic hit, I had only been in my position for 5 months.
Mhm.
So I was brand new, still formulating my team, still getting to know them. They were getting to know me. And then now we have this thing going on. We don't know what it is. We're
Mhm.
told
Mhm.
to go work from home for 3 weeks, and then the end of the 3 weeks comes and we're told stay home. So now I'm having to navigate this new team in a virtual environment while still trying to develop a relationship with them to gain their trust and so forth. But somehow I managed to do it.
Nice.
I managed to do it in a virtual space. When we could get together, we got together. I tried to keep some things going that we had been doing in person, like when we were in person, when it was somebody's birthday, I would get a birthday card and I would send it around to everybody to sign. Well, going virtual, I can't get everybody's signature, but I would still purchase a birthday card, and I had gotten everyone's address. But I would still purchase a birthday card and I would just sign it from your early childhood development team. So I still continue to send birthday cards even during the pandemic. And so there were challenging times. There were very stressful times, but we held each other up during the time. I did my best not to add any additional stress on my team. I did my best to encourage them to, get out and exercise or get out and take a walk. I remember I had gotten into yoga, and there was a series that was called Yoga for Educators. I shared it with them, like, hey, here's something you all may be interested in. And I did a lot of sharing of resources as well. Just anything that I could do to help lighten the load, help make their work easier. But they really held me together, because there were times where, I thought about throwing in the towel, but my team was just so great that I was like, nah, I got to do it for them. I got to stay for them.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Well, I think you're talking about the NHA team, right? Was that what?
Yes, so shout out to the early childhood team.
I've been at NHA for more than 20 years. So, well, 20 years, a little bit over. But I get it. The people make the place wherever you work at.
They do. Yes, relationships are definitely important, and when you can foster some good ones, you then have a great team. And I had a great team. And I'm not just saying that because one of them is on here.
He's gonna let everybody know. But no, I know it, because I know who you work with, and the people, and they're people with a big heart. So like you have a big heart for people and for kids and families. So it's awesome. So now when it comes to leadership, as an executive leader, how do you define quality in early childhood education programs?
There's so many ways to define quality, but it really all comes down to your systems and processes. And I would also say keeping your why at the forefront. Like, why are we doing this work? Who are we doing it for? What would be the best practices? And implementing those systems and processes. And so that's something that I try to do. I've been, trained in several things that is supposed to promote high quality, and you always have your guidelines and regulations. And depending on that, the quality can vary, depending on what you have. So at the very minimal, you have your licensing regulations, and so that provides some quality, but it may not be the best quality. But then you have your different kind of organizations, so to speak, that may have more stringent guidelines. So those may promote better or higher quality. So it all depends on kind of what you abide by and what you follow. But it's definitely about the systems and processes, making sure that you are providing the best safe environment and
Mhm.
healthy environment for the children.
Yeah. I was a Head Start parent, so I remember being able to have my son have healthy food
Hmm.
and have a great curriculum with teachers that really care. It really made a difference. He still remembers when he was in preschool, so it makes a difference. And we're going to get to the part of what's your philosophy when it comes to nurturing children and staff.
Oh, my philosophy. Well, I already shared kind of what my philosophy was, or my motto was, when I was a classroom teacher. So I guess that also would translate it to could you repeat the question again? With you
What's
said
your
with working
philosophy when it comes to nurturing both children and
nurturing,
staff?
yeah. So yeah, it comes to that also, especially for nurturing children. Train
Yeah.
them up in the way they should go, setting that solid foundation. That's always going to be my guiding philosophy with children. Now with staff, I don't know that I necessarily have a specific philosophy. I just believe in treating everybody with fairness and kindness.
That's nice. Yeah.
And I guess actually I take that back. My philosophy is leading by example. Now that I
Hmm.
think about it, I lead by example. Anything I ask of my staff is going to be something I'm going to do myself or I have done myself. I remember working at a program, and we were struggling with teachers. Matter of fact, the program itself just was in disarray when I came on board. And I remember going out to the playground,
Hmm.
and someone had just left like a full trash bag just out on the playground.
Hmm.
And I'm standing there in disbelief because there are children on the playground playing. There are
Hmm.
staff out there on the playground watching the children, yet nobody has taken this bag of trash to the trash can.
Mm.
So I just walked over there myself, picked it up, and put it in the trash can. And I think there might have been more than one bag, because when staff saw what I was doing, then I heard, "Oh, Dr. Jones, I'll get that. You don't have to worry about it. I'll do it." And so I'll say
Hmm.
it probably kind of motivated them, because they're like, "Oh, wait a minute, the director out here throwing away trash. Well, wait a minute, maybe we can we can do that too."
Lead by example. That's the way to do it. I mean,
But
that's the teaching. That's the way you teach people, and
it is, and that's what I like to do. I do lead by example, because we always tell children, um, do as I say, not as I do, but we all know children are going to do what they see you do, regardless of what
exactly.
you tell them. Well, it's the same
Absolutely.
with adults. You
Hmm.
can tell them one thing, but if you are doing the complete opposite, they could care less about what you say.
Yes.
They are watching you.
Yes.
And that's why I feel like I can't expect anything of my staff that I myself am not going to do.
And I've heard from other staff that you're a fair and kind person.
I
So
definitely try to be.
so
I'm firm, but I
uh-huh.
am fair.
I need to work on the firm part when
I'm firm. And I think, those who've worked with me, they've come to know that, because I have been tested. Some will try me especially when you're coming on into a new role, you're new. So I've been in positions where they tried me, they tried to get over on me, but I stand my ground. And so then they realize, okay, maybe we can't do this, but she seems legit. She seems like she's fair. So, we'll stop playing these games and go with it.
that's nice. That's nice. Well, Toishi Tiko says, Heather says, hey, and also know that you are not just a good leader, but a great leader.
Oh, thank you, Tochi.
That's nice. And Joshua's an excellent singer, by the way, and entertainer. He says he's still driving. And hello, everyone. Yolanda Johnson says hello. Jay says leadership takes courage and strength.
It
And
does.
Tanita says Dr. Jones gave us the most amazing guidance with strong leadership skills. So when she says setting the foundation, she mastered that skill.
Thank
That's
you,
very,
Tanita.
yeah, that's very nice. So let's see. And Jay says, in order to be successful leaders, you have to have certain characteristics. And Joshua says, teaching our children well is a great, passionate work.
Yes, it is.
And and Jay says, support DEI. Well, I mean, we're all different people in the world, so we got to support everyone here, right? So, okay,
Yeah, I
so
think that's from a continuing conversation that's going on in the chat that we don't need to air.
we'll keep it on the low level here.
Right, keep it in the chat. We'll keep it in the chat.
We'll keep it in the chat. Um, oh, look at I didn't know that Alan Gutman knew Barbara Fielding at NHA when he worked
Mhm.
at Riverside County Office of Head Start. It's amazing. Yeah. So, wow, you know some really interesting people there. Then you might want to share a little bit about your friends that are here too, if you would like to.
Oh, well, let's see. I know Alan from the UCLA Head Start Management Fellows Program.
Mm-hmm.
There's an alumni group. So once you go through that 2 week program, you then get to join the alumni network. And so through that, we meet monthly, all
Mm-hmm.
the alum, just that are still in Head Start, and well, the alum through that fellows program and that are working in Head Start still, just to touch base on what's occurring in Head Start. And it's a way for us to keep in touch. And we have a data, not a database, kind of like a thread, email thread, where we can reach out, and uh, it's definitely a network. So if you're looking for resources, if you're trying something new in a program, or if you're looking for a new curriculum, you reach out to the alumni network and can pose questions and so forth. So that's how I know Alan. Tanita, I was her boss, so that's why she's saying all those nice, good things. Yeah, Tanita was my Head Start coordinator.
Nice.
I hired her as my Head Start coordinator. And Tochi is one of my sorors.
Uh-huh.
We are members of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Nice.
And Trendy Girl is probably the one on here who has known me the longest. Trendy Girl and I have known each other a good 20 years. Um, and so she's known me. She has seen my evolution.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, from my 20s on to now. And we have shed tears together. We have supported each other. Um, yeah, so shout out to Trendy Girl.
Nice. Well, it makes me smile that you have your friends here supporting and saying nice things here for and getting to know their personalities and what they
Mhm.
do. Thanks for sharing that.
Yes.
So now this is funny because we just heard from from I think it was Jay or was that Joy Trivedi about DEI, and the next question I have for you is about culture and inclusivity. How do you approach building a culture of inclusivity and respect for families and team members?
A culture of, you said, what, a culture of inclusivity is what
Yes.
you said, and respect.
Hmm.
Um, so being in the position that I'm in, meaning that leadership role, that executive
Hmm.
position, that decision making, I set the guidelines for it. Like I set the protocol for it. And so as I said before, with the what makes high quality, it's all about your systems and processes.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it would be the protocols that I set in place and what I allow. And again, that leading by example. So I have had instances, well, I've had an instance where a concern was elevated to me, where
Uh-huh.
it was suspected that there may have been some discrimination
Uh-huh.
towards a family.
Mhm.
And I investigated it immediately because that's also one of my passion areas,
Mhm.
where it's, I'm all about cultural diversity and respect. Respect is huge for me, no matter what it is. So at a
Mhm.
minimum, I'm always um, requiring and expecting respect of families,
Mhm.
regardless in the tone, in your speech, in your actions with them. I'm going to say, hey, we don't do that. If I hear of something that is not right, we don't do that.
Mhm.
Even though we have parents that talk all kinds of crazy to educators. I am not dismissing that at all.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
because we are the professionals,
Yes.
we are held to a higher standard. So parents can talk as crazy as they want, but we cannot do the same. Now, that's not to say that I'm going to allow that to continue. So we
Mhm.
will send out communication to families that say, hey, you can't talk to our educators like that.
Mhm.
But as the professional, we're definitely not expected to do that. And so to promote that inclusivity, it's just really all in the systems that I implement and the protocols,
Mhm.
the policies that we have. I don't believe in suspending or expelling young children. Never have. When I
Mhm.
was a site supervisor, I remember having a teacher of a 3-year-old classroom wanting to suspend a boy. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. I said, we're going to get to the bottom of whatever is happening, but we're not suspending this child.
Mhm.
Um, So yeah, that's how I would say, and then also just inviting families to share in the classrooms. We have all these months that are dedicated to different cultures. And so inviting families, not just even during that time. I don't like it when, that's the only time that we'll address a different culture, when it's a certain month or
Mhm.
a certain
Mhm.
holiday, but I believe it should be done throughout the day as part of the regular routines and go beyond just having books or posters or dolls or clothing or dramatic play props that depict it, but that it's embedded in the curriculum. That when we have a certain theme, that we actually integrate real life cultural diversity type things into it.
Mhm.
That was a project that I was working on with trying to enhance our curriculum. That, okay, yes, this is the curriculum we abide by, but how can we integrate some other things into it? When we have a theme that talks about all about me, let's talk about Charles Drew and how
Mhm.
he's the reason why we can now have successful blood transfusions. When we're talking
Mhm.
about different types of transportation, let's talk about how, who invented the stoplight, or
Mhm.
even I want to say the trolley. I think I found out, but just different things, real life things that can be integrated, that
Mhm.
talks about, that doesn't show everything as whitewashed.
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of inventors from different backgrounds
Hmm.
that people don't know about because it's never spoken about. So I think that's part of the inclusion is talking about it, right? So that's awesome. I see that our friend here, Alan, says, Dr. Jones, talk about the fellows program.
Well, I gave a little pitch for it.
Next time we're gonna have to have him come on board. Talk about it. It'd be interesting to hear. But yeah, I think that's interesting, and I like to when there's different nationalities, learn a few words like even hello in their language so
Hmm.
that they could feel comfortable when they come to the site. They feel like, you took the time to learn a few words and make me feel welcome, right? So I think that's awesome what you do. And Alan said that I think it was him. Somebody said that they were suspended in second grade.
Yeah, it looks like
Oh,
we're talking
Rafael. He said he was suspended in second grade and again in fourth grade. So that must have been traumatizing for him. Yeah. So here we go. Alan Gutman says the fellows program was the first time I experienced being treated like an executive.
about. Yeah, he's talking about the Head Start Management Fellows Program. It is a 2-week program for leaders in Head Start. Um,
Is it for staff or is it for parents too?
it's for staff. It's for staff.
Okay.
It's for staff. But it takes you a little bit deeper into Head Start operations, and at
Mm,
the end of the program, you have to put together what we call a
mhm.
MIP, Management Improvement Plan, where
Yes.
you take something at your program that you would like to improve on. So for me, it was rolling out an apprenticeship program,
Mhm.
something that I had, tried to start and implement. It didn't end up happening, but I looked at it as a pathway into the early childhood workforce
Mhm.
within my organization. So, starting with, we had a position that was an entry level position
Mhm.
where individuals can get their foot into the door, into working in the early childhood space. And then from there, the apprenticeship program would help them to earn college credit to
Nice.
where they could then advance to the next step, and then hopefully from there, maybe get their associate's degree
Mhm.
through this apprenticeship program, where we would have a cohort of staff that the college would offer courses to. And then once they get their associate's degree, maybe then elevate to the next step. And then it was my ultimate hope to find a 4-year university that we could work with where they could then earn their bachelor's degree. And then I also wanted to do a pre apprenticeship program where we targeted high school students.
Mhm.
Because I'm also an adjunct professor, and I've taught child development courses to high school students through the college that I teach at.
Right.
And so that's also a great pathway into the workforce, to get them kind of younger, get them
Mhm.
interested in and I just teach kind of like the basic intro courses like child development. That was the one class that I taught, child development. And so anybody can benefit from that course. Parents can benefit from that course because it talks about the development of a child from conception, and I would teach it up to the preteen years.
Mm.
And so it talks about their development both in the cognitive, social, emotional, and physical, basically, domains.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, pre-apprenticeship program will work well for high school students because give them a few units. That way, when by the time they graduate high school, they have a few college units already under their belt, and then they could just go into college, take their core courses, and then take those courses specifically to early childhood and begin to have the experiences in the classroom, either because of they've got to do some observation assignments, or once they get into their higher level courses, they then do their practicum, which is their student teaching. Which is one thing that I did do in my role as a VP, where we partnered with a community college and some of their students would come into our classrooms to observe our teachers and to do their student teaching as well.
Nice. Nice. So it sounds like you grown as a leader while you were working at the same time. It was just happening constantly, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you grow. Um, And I think your team also helps you grow because they will, uh, stretch you
Hmm.
in ways that you never thought of.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that makes me think of, so it sounds like you're proud of these the successes that you've had. Can you talk about some more successes that you're proud of in your whether it be in your teaching, in your innovations, or your organization?
What are some other ones?
Or you could talk about something that you're proud about on your trip to Kenya.
uh, so I'll also say what can make work great
Uh-huh.
are your colleagues.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And it is it's rare for me to befriend someone that I work with. Like that's not something that I've done a lot.
Mhm.
But for my birthday 4 years ago, I think it's been about 4 years now, I did have two colleagues who went with me to Kenya for my birthday. So for some, that would be like a huge thing because like I went out the country with these people, and you have some people who don't even like attending conferences with their colleagues.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And so I went out of the country for a week with these two, but that was only because I had developed a friendship with them.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And so there was that mutual respect as me for me in the workplace
Mhm.
as a quote unquote higher up. Although even though I do recognize my position of authority, I never lord that over people.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I never like puff myself up like, well, I'm the boss and this, what I say. I'm not that type of person.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um Actually, I try to a lot of times. I actually sometimes try and downplay. It's like, look, we're all in this together. Like, yes, I know this is what my role is, but
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm here, with you all too. That's kind of how I lead. To me, my position is a title. Now, yes, I will use my position of authority when needed, but it's very rare that I have to do that. Like I said, I don't try and lord over my team. And so even though, I was considered a higher up, I still was able to develop these friendships with people um, who were considered below me. And I say
Mhm.
that just meaning in their title, not their
Mhm.
like position in life. And so, yeah, so we spent a week in Kenya for my birthday, and it was a great time. To this day, we still talk about that trip because it was just so memorable. Um, I had them going from the time we landed because I planned out like the whole week, the
Mhm.
whole
Mhm.
agenda. I was like, we're gonna do this. We did two safaris. We did, one during the day, one at night. Because I'm a Delta, there were some things specific to my sorority I also wanted to visit. One of
Uh-huh.
them being a high school for girls that a soror of mine has down there. And so each of us, me and my two colleagues, we were actually able to do a short presentation for those high school girls.
Oh, wow.
So that was really
That's
great.
nice. So what did you
Um,
learn from that experience in Kenya, and the people that you met? And
it was just a great cultural experience. And when I say cultural, just in the history of it all, being able to go to an actual Maasai village. I
mm,
think probably what struck me most is that the women there are the actual engineers. So you know how
mm,
here stateside in the US, whenever we see people out, either working on buildings or repairing the streets, they're typically men. Anybody
mhm.
we see in a hard hat, they're men.
Yes.
But in Kenya, they were women.
Oh, wow, that's
It was
interesting.
in the Maasai village. It was the women who built the homes. They were going out and, getting the mud and the bricks to build, and put in the structure. It was the women.
Mhm,
And so that
mhm.
was very impressive to me, especially as we drove along the streets and I'm seeing women in hard hats. And so
Wow.
I was like, wow, okay, they do it differently out here. And I had much respect. And I think it just speaks to, the culture there, that women are very revered and respected.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, they managed to be successful in what men do over here, which is a lot of engineering type work.
Hmm. Hmm.
How do you what is your definition of success, Dr. Jones?
Success is feeling good about what you do.
Mhm.
Even though I have never been on a 30 under 30 or a 40 under 40, um, I still feel successful in my work just because of the impact that it has, whether I'm told about the impact or if it's just what I see,
Mhm.
or what I feel. If
Mhm.
I feel that I'm making a difference, then I see that as being successful. The comments from people I've worked with, how they let me know the influence I've had on them, the impact I've had on them. I've had so many to tell me that I empowered them and I advocated for them.
Mhm.
And I'm always shocked and surprised whenever, I hear these testimonies, because in my mind, I'm like, I didn't even know I was doing all of that. I'm
Isn't that
thinking
amazing?
I'm just doing my job.
Yeah,
you
but that's
know?
wonderful. That's wonderful. It's an extra plus when you know that
It
you
is.
made a
It is.
difference.
So that lets me know that I've been successful.
That's awesome. So there's a lot of things changing these in nowadays in the educational system, right? What are some of the unique challenges that you see in early childhood education today?
I would probably say the biggest challenge I see is funding. I would
Mm,
love to see free pre-K for all children, regardless of their economic level.
mhm, mhm,
I have always wondered, like, why can't pre-K be provided the same as K through 12? Everybody can get a free education, from K through 12,
mhm, mhm,
regardless of their economic background, regardless of how much their household income is. There are schools provided in every neighborhood, or that's servicing every neighborhood. And I
mhm,
just wonder, why can't the same be for pre-K? Why is it that the only free programs are those that are for low income families?
mhm,
And
mhm,
then you have the tuition based, which the middle and upper income families attend, but it's hardest on the middle income families because, they spend, I think I've heard anywhere from like 10 to 30% of their income on tuition.
mhm,
And,
mhm.
don't let them have multiple children that they have to pay for.
Oh, it's expensive. It's expensive.
So yeah, so I honestly would love to just see it where, like, all of it is available free, for, the 3 and 4 year olds. And
Mhm,
that, and maybe even, and then, I know, like, for infant and toddler care, that's more expensive than preschool.
mhm.
And maybe that is something that could be subsidized by state or federal, with pre-K, for the 3 and 4 year olds being free.
Yeah.
And I know California is moving towards that. I worked on the work group for the universal pre-K.
Mhm,
I still think that there are improvements that can be done with
mhm,
it, because
mhm.
it's there's still too much competition, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Everybody's just kind of like, well, I'm going to do what I want to do. And, so you still have a lot of programs competing for the same children.
Hmm. So yeah, I could see where that could be a problem because
Hmm.
then they're like, everybody needs to have children in their program, right?
Exactly. And that's why you have a lot of programs that are closing their doors, especially right now,
Hmm.
you know, well, with the government shutdown, you had a lot of programs that were like, we don't know if we're going to have enough money to keep our programs going, if the
Hmm.
government doesn't open back up, because they couldn't draw down their money.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh, so that's another situation.
Hmm.
It's always the funds.
Yes, yes, yes.
So looking back, what keeps you motivated every day? Because I know it's already 6:29 and we're having too much fun.
What keeps me motivated? I don't know. I guess it's really just my love for this work and just wanting to contribute to better systems.
Mhm, mhm,
If I can just be a part of the system that makes it better, that is my motivation. If I can see, early childhood education being equitable for all children, regardless of the zip code they live in, regardless of their skin color, regardless of their home language, where they all get that solid foundation.
mhm, mhm.
That's
Yeah,
what motivates me. And just being a part of that to say that, yeah, I help with that.
that's your legacy.
Yeah, that would be my legacy. I don't care about a building being named after me or a program at some institute of higher ed. I just want to be part of the solution.
That is awesome. And you are part of the solution. And thank you so much for being here and sharing
Well, thank you
your
so much for the opportunity. It was great to reconnect.
yes. I'm happy that we got to reconnect. And if anybody wants to reach out to Dr. Jones, how can they reach out to you, Dr. Jones?
Well, I am on LinkedIn. I am active on LinkedIn. And so you can find me, Dr. Deidre D. Jones, on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. Yes, she has a lot of wisdom, and I recommend that you get in contact with her because she's an amazing person, and you just heard about her today. So looking forward to uh, maybe our next one. We'll see. Maybe we'll have Alan Gutman. It seems like he wants to participate here.
Well, I can definitely put the two of you in touch. Yes, Alan has been in the Head Start space for quite some time.
Uh huh. Uh huh. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, that would be great. So, are there any last things that you'd like to say before we close today?
Just continue to advocate for our youngest learners.
Yeah.
When policies come up about birth to 5,
Mm-hmm.
listen, and speak to your congressional lawmakers, because honestly, that's where it all starts. We all think it starts when they go to school at the age of 5, and even kindergarten isn't mandatory in most
Mm-hmm.
states.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Usually compulsory education starts at like first grade, and by compulsory that means like mandated. Child has to be in school when they're 6. That's usually the law, but it starts so much sooner than that. I promise you, um, birth to 5 programs, it is not babysitting. It is not childcare. I hate the term childcare because to me it means the same as babysitting.
Mm-hmm.
But those educators, they are teachers just like your K through 12 teachers. Their
Absolutely.
work is just a little different. They may not be teaching the 3 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic,
Mm-hmm.
but we are
Mm-hmm.
laying the foundation so that those K through 12 teachers can teach the 3 R's.
Yes.
So yeah, we're not babysitters,
Yes.
and
I
and we're
agree.
not just playing. It's not just all play. There is learning in the play. At this young of an age, children learn through play, but they are learning.
Yes, I totally agree. I totally agree. I've seen the teachers. They're not just sitting down, just looking at the children. They're doing
And if
activities
and
with the
if they
children.
are, they're not going to be in the classroom very long.
They're interacting with the kids. They're having conversations. Having activities. They're doing activities with the children, and I think that at an early age is important. My sister, she says she remembered that she got close to a teacher. I guess because maybe I'm not sure why she was kind of hovering, and she was, I think, in kindergarten or something. And she said that the teacher told her, "Why are you so close?" And we don't teach that. We teach being those nurturing relationships
Hmm.
with the children,
Hmm.
because
Because
that's.
attachment happens at that age too. I mean, it really develops in those first 3 years, but it still continues even after those first 3 years.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, I love it. Well, I appreciate the conversation, and um, thank you very much for your time, Dr. Jones.
Thank you.
Joshua says it's a great conversation, and Alan Gutman says you know where to find me. Love it. I love you, my friend. You have a great evening.
Thanks, you too.
We'll end with that tonight.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.